Good morning. On this week's episode of The Professor Helps, I'm going to talk to you about mom guilt and the Oppression Olympics. Okay, so mom guilt is something that I have long railed against because I think that it's absolute hogwash. I think that what happens is, as moms, we feel like we have to pay attention to our kid every single second of every single day. And when we don't, we feel like we're being a bad parent. Maybe you have this on lockdown. This is not a problem that you have. But I know several moms who struggle with it. I've actually had conversations with them, which I'm not going to reveal their names because that's their own private conversation. It's my private conversation. I'm sharing with you with the hope that I can help alleviate some of that. I read an article a long time ago and it really landed on me that there are 9 minutes a day that you can devote to your relationship. So if you're not a parent, this is still for you. The 9 most important minutes, in fact. So it's the first 3 minutes when they wake up, the first 3 minutes after they get home or you get home, and the last 3 minutes before they go to bed at night. And you can apply this to your partner. You can apply this to any relationship that you maybe sometimes struggle to prioritize. So I think that the first 9, those most important 9 minutes are something to keep in mind. Now, that does not mean that you don't strive to spend more time with people or more tuned in time with people. I think that it's very easy to think that you have to pay attention every single second to every single thing that your child is doing. And the truth is that, it's really good to give them time to play on their own, because eventually they will play on their own and not want anything to do with you. But let's not focus on that part. The biggest thing is thinking about what can you do to alleviate some mom guilt. So a perfect example was this Sunday. I spent a lot of time with my daughter. I also spent some time masked and distanced with another friend of mine in their backyard. And it was really great because spent time with her, spent time with my friend, and then my friend actually spent time with my kiddo as well. But there were actually times when she spent time by herself, and that hasn't really been the case, I'd probably say ever. She's 4 now, so she's starting to learn more independence, which is great. On the way home, I was really ready for her to be away from me and for me to have some me time. And as I walked in the door, luckily I have a partner that I can tap in, and I said, hey, I really need you to take over. I need some mom time. I need some me time. And I immediately walked into the room. I felt immediately better. And then I immediately felt guilty about the fact that I had asked for me time. I want you to think about it like this. Me time is like putting an oxygen mask on your face before taking care of your kiddo. And as long as there's somebody there to relieve the responsibility, you're not doing anything wrong. It's really important to give yourself those breaks. I cannot tell you how much better of a mother, a friend, and a wife I am after I've had some me time. Yes, even me, who is extremely social and loves people, I definitely need time by myself to recharge. So that's the mom guilt part. Now, the second part is about the Oppression Olympics, and I have to give credit to my dear friend Jessie Brill for this. I was talking to her about something that was bothering me, and in the middle of what I was saying, I said, it's not like your situation. She said, you know what, Jennifer? This is not the Oppression Olympics. And it just really landed on me because every single time that I've ever heard that there's no hierarchy of suffering, I've railed against it. It's really hard to believe that if you've lost your pet and I've lost my job, it's not like one of those is better or worse. There's still suffering. If you have had a loss of somebody that you love, or if you've had something happen where, somebody broke your trust, that's still something to mourn. That's still something that's keeping you suffering. And I think that it's really crucial to give people space for where their suffering lies. And I think that it's really easy. The example I think of most is Dr. Edith Eger. She is a Holocaust survivor. She survived one of the worst things you can possibly go through. But she herself even says, there is no hierarchy of suffering. In fact, she's a psychologist, and one of her clients was talking about getting the new car that she got in the wrong color. And the person who was sitting in her chair said, I know it seems ridiculous compared to you. I mean, you went through Auschwitz, and it's just like, no, there is no hierarchy of suffering. You're suffering. And she uncovered the suffering wasn't really about the color of the car. It was about a deeply held childhood memory that, there's all kinds of things that are around people suffering. And I think that it's really easy to fall into this trap of, oh, well, I'm upset, but I don't get to be as upset as you. And it's like, no, that's not true at all. It is not the oppression Olympics. It's not like you're trying to compete. It's not like, let me put up my suffering and here's your suffering and let's see who gets the gold and who gets the silver and who gets the bronze. Nobody wins. So I think the biggest thing is thinking about, how do we leave space for people to suffer whatever it is that they're suffering? And I think that that's an important message to talk about, especially because people have different levels of things that bother them. And when I say people, I mean folks. I mean everybody who is going through something. So I always say that it's important to be kind. And if you aren't kind, apologize. Say, I'm sorry, I had my own stuff going on. I wasn't really listening. Tell me what's going on with you. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the message that I'm bringing to you today. Please go ahead, if you find this inspiring, motivating, and frustrating, please go ahead and subscribe. I do a weekly message every single Wednesday morning, and that is to help motivate you, inspire you, and sometimes frustrate you. And that is my message for the week. Make sure that whatever you can do, whatever parent go ahead and help them to alleviate mom guilt. If you are a mom watching this, know that it's a real thing. It's not made up. And if you feel it, what I've learned to do is say, I am putting on my oxygen mask right now, because that will allow me to put an oxygen mask on my kiddo or my partner, depending on what the situation is. And it's not the oppression Olympics. If you're upset about something, be upset about it. Resist the temptation to come back and say, I know you're upset about this. It's way more important. It's not. Your suffering is here. Your suffering is here. There's no greater than, there's no less than. It's not the oppression Olympics. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my message for the week. And this is the professor signing off.